Just before we get started, recently Power Street Theater ran a contest for storytellers to write a story about what Palante means to them. So tonight, we are blessed to have one of those storytellers read a snippet of their story before we begin tonight. So please give it up for Gabriela Ann.
Thanks. Palante. It's not technically a word, right? That's why there's an apostrophe. It's the colloquial version of para adelante, pero no nos podemos parar, and for that reason we say palante, because palante no para. Palante is to move forward, not forgetting what is behind you, not abandoning what you are moving forward from, but rather carrying lo que dejaste atrás para poder mover palante. Growing up, as I ate dinner every night at my grandmother's kitchen, the macaroni con chorizo were always seasoned with immigrant stories of sacrifice. Stories that never ended with, and they lived happily ever after, but instead with this phrase, bueno, y de ahí seguimos pa'lante. Don't get me wrong, not every story was filled with amargura, but it couldn't end on happily ever after because the story was never finished. The story was always moving pa'lante, and I knew it would continue with me. As much as pa'lante means to move forward, it means to have hope, even in the most trying of circumstances. To seguir pa'lante means to have faith and trust, to believe that hard work and sacrifice will result in some greater good, to believe in the goodness of humanity, the goodness of God, the goodness in yourself. That deep within yourself there is a strength that can only be found when you decide to seguir pa'lante. Bueno, y de ahí, y por eso sigo pa'lante.
My name is Jamie Scheckman. I'm a member of the First Person Arts Board of Directors. I just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight and welcome to Palante. This is the 9th day of the 17th Annual First Person Arts Festival. Tonight is presented by PNC, Arts Alive. First Person Arts thanks its festival sponsors, Harmelin Media, the City of Philadelphia Department of Behavioral Health and Disability Services, Swell Agency, PICO, the Philadelphia Cultural Fund, PA Council on the Arts, Fairmount Ventures, a lot of sponsors, City of Philadelphia Office of Arts Culture, and the Creative Economy. Our venue sponsor Fringe Arts and the Free Library of Philadelphia, Independence Foundation, and Barra Foundation. Our media partners are PGN, Metro, and Philly.com. We want to give a special thank you to Anthony Mendez, the director of Los Bomberos de la Calle, who is the amazing drummer for this performance tonight. Thank you for adding your gifts to tonight's performance. Please visit the art installation in the lobby from Puentes de Salud, facilitated by their Director of Art and Culture, Nora Litz. Thank you for contributing to Palante. That's not it. I just can't turn these pages well. We have a survey in your program. We hope that you'll take a few minutes to fill it out so we can learn more about our audiences that are coming to the performances. 50% of our programming is made possible by our audience. 97% of our audiences receive our programs and shows for free online, and the rest experience it for a low cost throughout the year. So at the end of the show, our volunteers will gladly receive any donation you wish to share. They'll be standing around with Story Slam buckets. If you enjoyed tonight's program, we hope to see you again before the festival ends. It goes on until November 17th. Word of mouth is our most powerful marketing tool, so tell your friends. Share your story with the hashtag FPA Festival 2018. So there's still 5 days left in the festival, and they're all in this amazing venue. Please grab a brochure on your way out to find about all the other performances in the festival. An important note, the fire exit and the bathrooms are the way out, just right out the way you came in. And please turn your cell phones on and off. This is my worst night. I'm an accountant. This is my worst nightmare. No flash photography. Thank you for being here. Enjoy the show.
it hands or feet that get me lost in this maze? Is there a way out?
An ear can't hear. Words it understood once before bleeds out on the floor.
The city is big. My house is far away. I miss my country.
Cada grito es un no. Sentidos que lloran sangre.
Ojos que no ven, corazón que no siente. País de tuertos.
¿Dónde estás?
Right now? My body is north, somewhere cold with sanitized walls. But my heart is with my culture, tasting mangoes and walking on forest paths. Right now, my body needs that mango, that fruit, that sugar. And we all need it. Mangoes, sugar, sugarcane. Both the life force and shackles of my people, past and present. Slavery then. Food deprivation and diabetes now. My mom calling to tell me it's permanent. You might get it too. Mangoes in a forest. Torta tres leches on a plate. Tasting the balance beam of the universe upon which we balance ourselves. Sink or swim. No time for hugs and kisses that exist in between. On the balance beam, we make a lot of rules for ourselves. Ese no hace. No toca eso. Straight hair is better. My cousin, Fernanda, I barely know her. I have pictures from one trip where she's playing with us, tickling us, teasing us. But then on the next trip, she had morphed from this beautiful mulatto, mestiza, morena, negrita, into this fire-breathing sea dragon with green eyes, fake breasts, and silky hair that did not come from her head.
¿Cuál es tu sonido preferido?
This one. This sound, right now. This one's my favorite. The sound of the rainforest. Winds, water, birds, the soft voices of my companions, both alive and the ones departed. This path that I'm on, this forest, I don't really know where it is. I had to find it for myself. I've had to build my own world, and I have the scars and calluses to prove it. Dislocation. But right now, this path is enough. Back then, the first set of black feet on this path, escaping from slavery into a forest, a slave with a rebel heart, establishing a maroon community, a black, beautiful African queen. Her name was Guiomar. Climbing into mango trees, looking out onto the horizon, what did she and her compatriots see? A storm of colonizing white coming towards them dead set on destroying their short-lived African kingdom. What did she do as she waited for them to approach? Did she grab a mango and bite right in, letting the last moments of freedom taste all the sweeter?
Cuando tus sentidos se unen.
Up here, in this tree, when I am alone and it is quiet, powerful messages come towards me in those moments. Truths and realities that if I could just grab them, but it never lasts long. I can never sit still that long. Dislocation.
¿Qué porcentaje de tu cultura amas?
I don't know, like 80%? I'm not that good at numbers. Or maybe I'm not that good at my culture. Oh, well, okay, what's the 80% that I do love? The naked emotion, the commitment to family, the traditions, the music, the language, the land, the mangoes. Oh, mangoes everywhere. En el centro comercial, en las calles. The mango tree is in the patio at Quinta Lilium. They named the houses there. They named it after my aunt, Lilium, the baby of the family. Even her nickname, Nene, that means baby. And now I'm the baby of my family. 32, still the baby. To get to the tree, you can go around back to the patio, or you can reach it from the second floor balcony. That tree dominates that patio. It grows out of the one square that wasn't tiled over. There's this tool. I don't know who made it. Maybe my grandfather? Maybe my aunt? But it's a broom handle connected to a bucket, and if you stand on the second floor balcony, shake the branches, the mangoes fall into the bucket instead of onto the tiles below. What's this 20% that I don't like? The traditional gender roles, the fixation on domesticity for women, the unchangeability, how naked emotion turns into a denial of vulnerability. Denial, 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 denial. We are Black people. Admit it. Embrace it. Love it. The hierarchy, visible and invisible. That balcony connects to the master bedroom, which is where my grandparents slept. But with my murky understanding of family history, it wasn't for very long. They died soon after moving into that house. Mi abuelo, the same month my sister was born. Mi abuela, the same year I was born. I've never used those names out loud. The master bedroom, which connects to the balcony, which connects to the tree due to that ingenious contraption, is also where my parents would sleep whenever we visited. My Aunt Lilium is the only permanent resident of Quinta Lilium, the house that bears her name, and yet she sleeps in a corner room that faces the street. She is a beautiful, independent, 58-year-old woman who sleeps in a full bed when there's an empty king bed down the hall. Empty, I guess, because there's no married couple to fill it. Sometimes I wonder if late on those humid nights, she tiptoes down the hall, grabs the tool, and tastes from the tree's sweetness while looking at the moon. I've never asked her. I think asking her might be against the rules. And I think that's the problem. I think I never absorbed the rules correctly. You know, it's like America doesn't have the right soil for those genes to develop or appear or flourish. Maybe that's why me and my sister can't seem to make it work. In this family, the only way sisters get along is if one's willing to sleep in a full bed while there's a king bed down the hall. And I like to stretch out when I sleep. 32-year-old baby, bucking the hierarchy, not following the rules.
¿Cuál es tu fruta favorita?
Mangoes, obviously. There was something transgressive about their juiciness. We were always getting dressed up to go somewhere, someone who wanted to see how well the gringas were growing up, and I would sneak back to the patio, grab a mango, and bite right in. Sunday best, ruined by the juice. Like a silent scream to my natural curl pattern. Mangoes let me break the rules. And there were so many rules to follow, like how a verb conjugation suddenly changes when there are two people in the room instead of one. So, taste, it became my language. Taste was something I could do with my mouth when I didn't know what to say or how to say. ¿Cómo se dice? Taste was a way of showing love when we really had nothing in common. At least I could say that the food tasted good. Sometimes I couldn't even do that, because let's be honest, sometimes it didn't. Have you ever had turkey neck soup? But you know, what used to make me sad was that we couldn't be honest about that stuff. It's like the stakes were too high, the scarcity too deep. The food was all we had. You ruined that and the relationship is effectively over. The 3 years that I was a vegan was the darkest, most distant time for all of us. Thank God I gave that up. You know, vegetarians, they don't eat carne mechada, but we can still have queso fresco, tequeños, arepas. It's something. I climb back in the tree. I look south, and I see her, the jungle queen, Guiomar, the past. I look north, and I try to see the future. I don't know if I'll ever see that house, that patio, that tree again. Every year my aunt comes and stays in this country longer. Last year she got sick and had to stay even longer. And now she can't find the needles for her chemotherapy port in her country. My mother has to send them through the mail. North, south, east, west. What do I see if I look left? If I look right? Are these the directions of what could have been? I look right beyond that hill and I see the school I used to walk past, and I would wonder, would I sound different as I said goodbye to my friends? Would I wear my hair different if I lived here? What would my Spanish nickname be? Is that the direction that I can see my Venezuelan identical twin? Where is she? Who is she? Is she climbing mango trees, or is she putting on blue contact lenses and finding the least brown man she can better the family with? Would Venezuela have made me better or worse? Would I have made Venezuela better or worse? Is it too late to know?
¿Qué placer te gusta más?
Pleasure? Pleasure that is risky, but secure. You know, going out on dangerous limbs, to grab, to taste, knowing someone will catch me if I fall. What's on the ground for me? What was at the bottom of the tree for Guiomar? Black and brown arms, ready to catch her. Los negros y los indios, los dos son en mi sangre. They were ready for her. They were ready to swing her back into the air, back into the branches. How did they celebrate her ascendancy? Was it with music? Was it with drums? If I use all of my senses, can I hear it? Can I taste it? How do I describe it? So full of wonder. If we push ourselves to the highest limb, what can we see? How far back into the past and forward into the future? Adventure. The adventure of what is right in front of me. The joy, the freedom, the moving up at the same time as burrowing down a tree and its roots, an explosion, kinetic. I miss my sister. Can she hear this music too? The only other person who never got to say abuelo y abuela to Felipe and Maria. The music. It reaches, and it finds something lost. And it's certainly not painless. There is lamentation, and there is tiptoeing, and there is tentativeness. But then there is the audacity of joy and discovery, and we reach for the furthest limb, and we can see for miles. And the mangoes, they envelop us, and the branches point towards the path forward. And our hands, scarred, calloused, but no longer smarting from the roughness of the bark, only forward, right? Because it's the only option. So we push, and we push, and we push, and we are here, and it is here, and it's momentum, and song, and dance, and rhythm, and food. Arroz con leche, like a blanket that puts me to sleep. Mangoes, like bursts of sunlight that wake me up. And nothing can stop us. And all we have is joy. Joy! Felicidades y abrazotes. It's not easy. It takes effort. But those black and brown arms, I can see them from the highest branches. Pa'lante, forward. And we will never, never stop. And now we're dancing, and it's a salsa, or a rumba, or a drumline, or an incantation, or an invitation. Pa'lante, forward, forward. Tell me what you can see with your tongue. What you can feel with your ears, and what you can taste with your eyes. And we will not get lost. We will not be dislocated. We will only be found and wrapped in the blankets of our countries, in the blankets of the land and the leaves and the smells and the sea and the touch of an abuela that I can name, who comes from the darkest ore in the core of the earth. Taste buds can tell if something has no flavor, or if it has no loving.
The smell of my childhood brings me joy on strangers' shores. My mother, she grew up in the South Bronx. The O'Hanlons were the only white family that could not afford to leave the projects. 8 children, 1 apartment. No, thank you. My grandfather, he lied about his age to fight for Northern Ireland's independence. And my grandmother, she wanted all 8 of her children to marry good Irish Catholic men and women, but every single one of them fell in love with someone outside of their race or religion, clearly. My mother, she spent her youth playing handball in the park, falling in love and getting lost to the rhythm of the drums, discovering new savory smells of pinil y arroz con gandules. She learned to speak Spanish. She hung out with Black Panthers. She is quite possibly the non-whitest white woman you'll ever meet. My father is a story collage together. A dark-skinned Puerto Rican man with deep roots to the island and a deep love for his mother. Mi abuela, she used the privilege of her white passing skin to move her brown family into a white, safer neighborhood, transgressing racial barriers. It's a family tradition. My father spent most of his life saving people from their addictions, but in the end, he just couldn't save himself. So here I stand, 2 islands that found each other on another island. My Taino and Druid ancestors whisper to me from my back pockets, infusing me with a language that is greater than my knowing and less than American standards. To be mixed race in America feels like trying to go back home, but you can't return, or searching endlessly for a place you've never been. And my mother, she told me she gave me 2 last names so I could choose who I wanted to be, as if my identity could be swapped with the simple drop of an O'Hanlon or a Rodriguez. But people still search the lines of my face and body, expecting a clear answer as to what box I should fit into. And back in the 80s, no one could even fit my name into computer systems. It's too many characters. There is a hyphen and an apostrophe. Eventually, everyone just chose one. Even my brother. My brother dropped the O'Hanlon, which always kind of made me jealous, like, damn, that's easy. When I was a kid and I had to learn to spell my name, I had to learn everything twice as much. There is a Z in my name. But no matter my frustrations, I just couldn't surrender half of my identity. But one day, I did learn it could surrender me. Do you remember back in the 90s, there was this cotton candy body spray? Yeah? And everyone walked around smelling like a carnival, which was weird, and it made my mouth water. Or maybe that's actually anxiety, that the sweet smell conjures of tight pants and gold hoop earrings and a hallway lined with lockers. And a girl walks up to me and she half asks, half informs me that none of the Latinas in school believed I was Puerto Rican. I froze. I couldn't explain that my favorite days were when my house filled with warm cilantro, sofrito, and the smell of warm places I imagined while dancing to Buena Vista Social Club. I couldn't explain that my family, we couldn't afford the brand name shoes or those really cool earrings with your name in them. And I couldn't explain that I didn't learn to speak Spanish because my father died before ever telling me he loved me. I didn't know where half of my family was, and there was a lifetime of mourning and loss resting just underneath my eyelids. And I couldn't understand, how could someone's belief of my identity change my DNA? How can I be and not be? But I was young, so I accepted their judgment. It was a simpler time, before my hair became a tangled mess of curls. And all I knew was there was a comfort in the simmering of my mother's rice and beans. It carried in the wind of the white lace curtains of my childhood. It filled my home with peace while I watched my mother, like a bruja, mixing together magical ingredients that could feed our family for days, which really is magic for poor folks. My house would fill with lemons from the cleaning products that shined on the hardwood floor. My mother would dance with the mop, and I was never sad that my culture fit into one pot of rice and beans. It's amazing how smells can bring us back. Odor information is actually stored in the long-term memory. That's why certain smells have this incredible ability to bring us back to a specific time and place. Even the emotions we felt can come rushing back. For me, the smell of peppermint. I can almost feel my grandmother's hug. The smell of day-old cigarettes is disgusting, but it's also the yellow comfort of home and family. The smell of mold, mildew, vodka. That's my stepfather, or my father, or my imagination of him, or devastation. Smelling is our oldest sense. It is actually part of our instinctual ability to survive. Think about it. When you smell something rotten, you're not gonna eat it. We can actually smell disgust and fear through pheromones and sweat. We can smell danger itself. But what happens when love and abuse get confused? Can we relearn a sense? Over time, the smells of my childhood began to change. The warm cilantro was replaced with cold tuna. My mother's lupus changed the way she smelled, like I could smell her sickness coming out of her pores. And my world shattered when the smell of fire and bodies filled the neighborhood. My brother came home covered in a gray dust that filled my home with plastic and death. And I can still smell 9/11 the same way that I can smell the brown cardboard of eviction notices. I lost so many smells. The smell of the cherry blossom tree I'd run away from home to. The smell of chlorine from the pool that my brother was a lifeguard at, and the smell of clean morning walks with my mother. You know, in the summer, when the steam comes off the streets? And just like the women before me, I lost my ability to smell predators. I replaced my instinct in favor of receiving love. I found myself building relationships over and over again with men that smelled like my father, or my stepfather, or my imagination of him, or devastation. But, like the women before me, I learned ways to combat the darkness. With music, with laughter, with my mother's magical rice that could calm any storm. It's taking me years to understand el amor no se ve con las manos cerradas. Just like it took me years to master my mother's rice and beans. My mother always told me that my rice was slammin', but that's exactly what daughters say, well, mothers say to their daughters, so you can't trust that. But one day on Thanksgiving, my brother secretly told me that he thought my rice was better than Mom's. And that is when I knew. That was like a rite of passage. It's like a new stephood and adulthood. It was like leveling up in Mario. You know what, now I'm older. I'm learning to embrace the wild of my curls. I understand how far apart race and ethnicity are. I mean, if you get on the phone with my mother, you're honestly gonna think she's the Hispanic one. But her nickname was Rubia. She has blonde hair and blue eyes. And I don't wish I had her blue eyes anymore. I'm learning to embrace the world in the middle. I am learning to understand the traumas of poverty and the privilege of my white passing skin, which is to say, for the white friends in my life, you can do better for the brown and black people in your life. I love the complexities of my name. I'm no longer waiting for my acceptance into a community that is my birthright. I just understand that I'm really just a product of colonization. I won't silence my voice of gray in this world of black and white. Mi abuela's courage lives in my freckles, because these actually come from Puerto Rico, regardless of what you thought. And my grandmother, she gave me grace and crooked pinkies. And my mother taught me curiosity and to risk loving too much. My stepfather, my father, the men before him and the men after him, they are teaching me that there is a time for things to live and a time for things to die. There is a difference between the two, and you can smell it in the air. Remembering that we are enough in the world of patriarchy, that is revolution. Trusting our senses is wisdom. Relearning how to smell is like healing. It takes time and patience. So, I continue the work, conjuring my mother's rice and beans with the light of my consciousness, carried by the strength of a long line of mujeres who smelled of salt for the oceans in their tears, but taste of stardust.
Ivan is happy. Mom and Dad cooking dinner. The tree is green. Hola, my name is Ivan, and this is my story. Every morning, I woke up missing the smell of fresh, warm bread from my parents' bakery in Huancayo, Peru. I learned so many lessons there, like the time when my friends came over and we started playing hide and seek. I decided to jump into this big box full of dough. I learned I shouldn't do that. And I lost one of my shoes. I remember Mom coming over and she started screaming, "Ivan, ¿qué hiciste?" I will never forget that scream. She started saying, "Look at this. All this is wasted. And all the money that we put in there." That day, I learned about the money that we're investing in this business and about the time of the people working to make that bread. And I learned to never again play in the bakery. Another memory from my childhood is Christmas time. Oh, I love Christmas. And I remember every year, Emma, Rita, and Nora, They used to come from Lima so we can celebrate Nochebuena. We used to have El Niñito Jesus, and we used to sit down around it, singing villancicos, waiting for midnight so we can have el pavo navideño. And ese pavo was so good, you can still smell it and taste it. And we never had gifts. Who needed gifts when you have your whole family there? We were so happy. That was more than enough for me. And let me tell you something. My birthday was more special than anybody's birthday because I have the best piñatas in town. Oh, yeah? Every year, Rita used to bring piñatas from everywhere. But on my 9th birthday, she brought this beautiful blue teddy bear. It was this big, and I love it. I want that piñata so bad, and I don't want nobody to touch it. I protect this piñata, and I remember his pink cheeks. Ugh. I just, don't touch it. It's my piñata. So I remember crying, and Nora have to run to the store and buy a little piñata so we can break it in the party, singing, rompela, rompe la piñata, rompela, rompe la piñata. All those memories from my childhood sometimes bring tears to my eyes. Great memories, but I also have sad memories. Like I always knew since I was little that I was different. Sometimes I felt like I have a monster inside me. I'm not like the other kids. I don't want to go outside and be dirty in the floor or play with mi carritos. I just wanted to be in the house, in front of the TV, singing and dancing, dreaming that one day I will be in there. And on top of all those feelings, I think it was the month before my 10th birthday, May 15 of 1998 or 89. We received a phone call. Nora was dead. When you die, Nora, part of my heart died with you. You always have this special love for me, and I never knew why. But the day of my birthday, I find out that she was not my sister. She was my biological mother. I will never be able to tell her how much I love her. The only memories I have of Nora is her beautiful smile, or her blue-eyed shadows that she wears, or when she used to clean the house, always used to sing this Peruvian music. El árbol de mi casa está muy triste, porque se ausentaron ya las aves. Volaron todas las palomas, volaron todas de su nido, dejándome entristecido, pobre de mí. Every time I hear that song, it's like I'm hearing Nora's voice again. So after I was 100% sure that she was my mom, I was so angry. And now, on top of feeling different, I felt that my whole childhood was a lie. No parents, no nothing. I was hurt, and I wanted to hurt everybody in my life. So many dark times. And I remember around 13 years old, I decided to go and look for that father. In my mind, I thought that one day he would show up my door and tell me how much he loves me. And he will take me away, and I will be happy forever. I was wrong. He was still an immature man, not ready to be my dad. Maybe that is the reason why Mamita and Papita always took me in their arms as their own child. Yeah. Maybe for somebody else, they probably are just my grandparents. But for me, they are the only mom and dad I will always have. So I was in this dark place in my life, going through middle school, and one day, I started realizing that I was not a monster. I met somebody special in school. It was my first relationship. It was so sweet. I started feeling butterflies in my stomach. It was amazing. And the funny part was that we have the same name. And it was funny every time when they used to call Ivan, we didn't even knew who they were calling. And even the teachers and the principal knew about it. Could you imagine? It was the 90s. It was Peru. Hello. It was just so funny. So after this relationship, I felt that now I can tell my family. So I ran to the house, and the first person I told was Emma. I remember in the phone, she said to me, Ivancito, tú eres mi reycito, and I will always love you no matter what. So now I was more convinced to tell Mom and Dad and my sister Patty. So I went and told them, and they got a little scared. And I think it's because they just wanted to protect me, and they don't want nobody else to hurt me. They always protect me. Even when I was trying to leave school because I wanted to follow my dream as an actor. And I remember Mamita saying to me, Ivan, if you want to be a clown, be a clown. But first, finish school as a backup plan. And guess what? She was right. So on 2000, I left Peru forever. It was January 27th. I flew into Indianapolis to go to school there. I remember in the airplane, I looked down and I saw the snow for the first time in my life. I was so excited. I just wanted to go outside and play with it, like, you know, the kids in the movies. I never was in the snow, so I ran outside the airplane, and I get over it. It was too cold! I never felt like that. My hands hurting. I just wanted to cry. And then I realized that I even couldn't speak the language. So I started missing my house. I wanted to go back to Peru. I wanted to be with my mom, my dad in the bakery. I felt so alone again. And on top of that, in this Baptist school, every day they remind me that I was an abomination, that I should die and go to hell. Suddenly, I felt like I was back in elementary school. I felt like this feeling of the monster was coming back. I feel oppressed. And no, I'm not a monster. I'm not going back in there. I'm somebody special, and God loves me no matter what. So finally, I called my sister Emma and Rita and said, please help me, take me out of here. They brought me back here to Philly, and I went to school, and I learned English for the first time. And a year and a half later, I was able to talk to people in this new language, and I was so proud of it. So I went to apply for a job here, and guess where I went? It was Children's Crisis Treatment Center, or CCTC. This is a nonprofit here in Philly that provides services of mental health to families and children in the city. So after 16 years, I'm still there. And now as a team leader of 2 wonderful programs. But 8 months after I started there, I met this beautiful couple that I always call them my guardian angels. Steve and Joe. They're always there in my life since that day. I remember every day Steve used to help me to improve my self-esteem. He always said that my hair was beautiful, and I always tell him that I hated it because people used to make fun of my hair in Peru. They always used to say, "Oh, tienes pelo de cerdo." Pero Steve always said that my hair was so beautiful, and guess what? I love my hair. This is mine, and nobody's gonna take it. So Steve and Joe always pushed me to do the best. And I remember when they started teaching me to drive. I won't lie, Steve lost control some days because he got upset because I couldn't learn. So Joe had to jump in there and start helping me. But I was able to get my driver's license. I was so proud of it. And finally, in 2007, I went back into my acting dream. I was celebrating with Steve and Joe, and it was so magic. And suddenly I got so sick. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, very close to die. I remember every night, Steve and Joe used to come to the hospital. Some nights, Joe used to do my nails to cheer me up. And some nights, Steve used to come over and just to fix my hair, singing, "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray." They were always there. And after I get off from the hospital, I still need medication. It was through a PICC line to my heart. Steve was the one who said, "I'm gonna do it." And he took care of me. And maybe that is why until today I call them my gay parents. I love them. They are always in my life. So now I have my non-blood related family and my blood related family together as a happy family. Maybe I never had the touch of Nora, but God blessed me with mom and dad, Steve and Joe, my sisters, my family, and a partner that loved me, and I love them back. And every day, I'm reminded to count my blessings moving forward. Echando pa'lante, because life is just one. Echando pa'lante, because today will never come back. Echando pa'lante, because life is wonderful.
Waves dancing with drums. Wind playing chords in the air. Tells my island name.
Where are you from?
This has been the most asked question in the 4 years I've been living in this city. I get it. With Philadelphia's sanctuary status and me looking and sounding like a foreigner, that's the mandatory icebreaker. I live here in Philly, South Philly to be exact. Just a few blocks away from the Italian market and just around the corner, the Dolphin Tavern. I know, right? Great neighborhood. then I get this question mark look. Like, I mean, I know why they're asking. I just choose to hacerme la pendeja. Play stupid, just for fun. No. I mean, where are you originally from? Oh. Well, to be honest, I don't really know exactly. Because if I really think about it, and if you really want to know, that's too complex for me to give you a short answer. You see, my unconscious knows that I was born in a tiny little island in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. My Taino ancestors named it Boriquen, which means land of the valiant and noble lord. Y a mí personally me halla más ese nombre. It's way much better than the one that we have now, in my opinion. And how we got the one we have now, you ask? Simple. Vino this white dude de allá del carajo viejo, más perdido que un juez bico, o sea, lost as fuck. Landed in the island by accident, and then boom, he came and claimed he discovered it. And then por su cojones, changed their name to San Juan Bautista. Then it changed to Puerto Rico. And then los gringos came con la comemierdería de Americanized name with Puerto Rico. And it stayed like that up until the 1930s, until un boricua más cojonudo que el tío Sam came up and said, no, mijo, no. Se queda Puerto Rico en español, and that's it. But you know, colony still, they agreed to the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico. That's how the cookie has crumbled in my patria for 5 centuries. Boriquen, San Juan, Borinquen, Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico. Even if I choose to say its name in Spanish, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't resonate as beautiful and strong as Boriquen does. And it's definitely not as meaningful. Every time a Puerto Rico rolls off my tongue, I choke. I feel this knot in my throat telling me it's unnatural, telling me it hurts in my soul. And it hurts because my soul has a memory. A washed up and faded memory, but a memory still. Memory of my buried past, of my annihilated past. Memories of blood, memories of torture, of destruction. Puerto Rico. In each vibration in my chords, there's oppression. Each syllable that I pronounce in its name comes with a lashing, comes with pain, comes with death. My conscious self tells a story of history books, of adaptation and evolution, of learning how to survive by acquiring and accepting what was imposed as our own. In the guise of cultural diversity and enrichment, you know, mejorando la raza. But my unconscious, oh, my unconscious whisper me a story of colonization, of invasion, a story of war, of robbery, of forced assimilation, a story of truth. 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 Truth I saw the first time I stepped into Tibes, Taino ceremonial Tabay, and witnessed all the spirits of the earth and the tribal soul of El Boique and Suareito. Truth I felt in my blood that night allá en La Charca where my African ancestors burn por brujas, por negras, por mujeres, por negras. Oh, my mother witches, mis y yalorichas ache! I saw the fire that burned you. I have the fire that makes you immortal. I saw the truth in every night the drum plays around the bonfire under the light of the full moon, in how the rhythm of the waves accompany the music. I've seen the truth in my total disregard for wearing bras, in my unapologetic bellaquera, sex drive, libido, in my opinionated self, in my total disagreement with patriarchal structures. I am the daughter of Juisa, of Ochun, of Artemis. I know the truth. But my identity is a constant internal battle between integrity and survival, between honoring the past and assimilation. Pushing me to be less passion and more sense, be less heart and more brain, so I cope. And I learn how to be more properly well-mannered, especially here in Lady Liberty's land. I learned to navigate class at 6. When money without a high-end surname means you're just a plebeian with money. I learned about colonization the first time I stepped into an empty theater in a Puerto Rican film, and how Hollywood and its recycled dazzle broke the box office. I learned about how we say, allá en USA es mejor, and how I hate myself for believing it. I learned about the privilege of being a Blanquita Puerto Rican, and how it saved me from being a mockery, from being called negra, tizna, sucia. You know, harmless yokes. I learned, and I truly learned about our subtle racism culture. The first time I brought my high school boyfriend home to my mom, and the look she gave when she saw he can grow an afro, and his skin was darker than mine. And how easily she can hide her bigotry by saying, yo conozco la familia de ese nene, Diana María, y ese nene no te conviene. Yo sé de dónde él viene y no es bueno. At 15, I learned about irony. I learned about irony of how we ironically repeat and quote the most famous Vizcarrondo poem of Ayer me gritaste negro y hoy te voy a contestar. Mi maíz se sienta en la sala y tu abuela, ¿a dónde está? Yesterday you called me Negro. Today I'll clap back at you. My mom sits in the living room. And your grandma, where she's at? We ironically repeat it as an affirmation of our colorful formation as a reminder of how we can be racist. But in our day-to-day, we bleach ourselves in every chance we get. We blow out la raza, nos ponemos el bondo, we paint ourselves or dye ourselves rubia. We check what in the box. Miramos al negrito de reojo y con miedo y escondemos la cartera. We only remember our blackness when it's in fashion, porque un blanquito made it trendy. We are a cluster of stars, a swirl of hues. We're fucking technicolor in a black and white world. We cannot fit into one box. Don't let them fit you into a box. Don't let them win. I will not let them hate my colors. Where are you from? I love this puzzled look in their faces when they ask me how they are trying to guess, to figure out, to put a finger on. I love this duality, this ambiguity, this mixture of futures, of traits, of how hard it is for them to fit me into a stereotype, of how I can be from anywhere and everywhere, and me, and only me, and those who look like me, holds the true answer. Where am I from? Boriquen, I'll reply. But also, in the wisdom of Facundo Cabral, I'll say that I'm not from here, nor from there. I have no age nor future. And being happy, it's my color of identity. No soy de aquí, ni soy de allá, no tengo edad ni porvenir, y ser feliz es mi color de identidad.
Sal. Despierta las puestas del sentir. Madre de agua. When I was 7 years old, the earth spirits will appear in the night, and they will urge me, wake up! Tell them their breath is gone. Sweat and terror became my movement. Mama Ju will call others. Their loved one's breath was gone. Many warnings came this way. Long lines of departed ones, vanished histories, visions of rivers and pools of blood, strange noises and sounds of thunder furiously cracking the skies, with flowing events shrouded in mystery. My father, he knew it was my inheritance, the pain that he lived to see, and the pain that made him numb. Bohíos flotando, the wooden houses floating in the river, swallowed by the rough, deep ocean, all of his loved ones gone. I used to run to the hills and speak with the wind. That carried the scent from the faraway mountains and the nearby ocean, roasted coffee, and salt waters that reach out to me. And wet earth was my best friend. Mud pacified my soul, even when teased by the male teens that called me Tine. Soot, a term for dark skin. Or bruja, witch. Family called me la curandera. To have facultad was a big responsibility. It meant being awake to the innate connection and working with the cycles of the moon, learning the secrets from the plants, the stones, do the despojos, do healings, prayers, and being receptive to the astral plane energies. I knew how to cook a big caldero de arroz, a big pot of rice, for the entire family when I was 9 years old. But cuando en casa cantó el gallo, when the rooster sang in our home, the expectations increased. Menstruating announced a new day into womanhood. And I had to learn much more. Farming, cooking, sewing, and other skills. We raised animals in our talita, the little beautiful farm, and my job was to look after the pigeons, the chickens, the rabbits, the goats, and the pigs. I dreaded the day that my mother announced the time had arrived for killing a pigeon, to end its life by drowning it. And I remember that I shook through the whole thought of its death. To kill, to clean, to dismember and cook an animal that I love. Ugh. But Mama Ju said, not to be afraid and to trust her, and I did. I prayed while observing the life source leaving its body, escaping like an air leaving the balloon. And then chickens followed. This time I was strong, courageous and smart. A sharp knife was used for the slaughter, and all the blood was drained from his body. The animal shook and made helpless sounds. His chest has to be pressed to the floor to rid of anything blood that remained in the body, and any life too. Afterwards, the body was quickly submerged through boiling water for large feathers to easily pluck, then pass through a fire to burn the little feathers. I still hold that memory of the unpleasant smell, like faraway spirits that search out for me, their voices in pains and blending with the wind. I didn't find pleasure in fixing, much less eating the meat. But eating the animals was a rare thing for us, and we were mostly vegetarians. eating arroz with what was grown in our land. Batatas, guineos, viandas, los gandules, habichuelas, avocados y el maíz. And dulce de coco. The sacred coconut, the only fruit that contained holy water that fed the life to our ancestors. At age 12, the light of my life dimmed. And I cry as I look out the airplane window. All traces of tropical life replaced with darkness and snow from Los Nueva York. Sadness engulfed my soul. For all that was left behind, my family, my land, the beauty and the smells of the mountains and the seas, a garland of soul dancers, los vivos y los muertos. It was time for my heart to taste, to feel, and to see the meaning of loss. Childhood memories and love for my island became my arrangement for hope. The pieces were found through a deeper appreciation for the beauty of my culture. Its music, the rhythms, the colors, the foods, las costumbres, Taino images such as Semi Yokahu, embodiment of God's heart in a stone, considered then as now a blasphemy. Increasing my awareness of what meant to be a Boricua, I found strength in the teachings left by our national hero and political patriot, Don Pedro Alvizos Campos, leader of the independence movement. Don Pedro's fervor to speak the truth about colonization carved out the messages in a niche of my heart. La patria es valor y sacrificio. Motherland is valor and sacrifice, he said. While living in the Spring Garden neighborhood, one day, Mama Ju told me a deep secret that she no longer felt shame for. As she braided my hair, tears of personal liberation flowed. And with great sorrow, she recalled being tricked to relinquish her body and the sacredness of conception, a power and treasure that she held. But she was not alone. She revealed the story of forced sterilization upon hundreds of poor women, feeling deeply for family members and other neighborhood women who were robbed as well. And she whispered other secrets, how Abuela Mera have lost a breath to a shooting on an uprising in her town of Lares, which meant silence, persecution, or else. You see, in the 1950s, La Operación was unfolding its genocidal agenda. A U.S. government-led population control weapon against the people of Borinquen. And countless poor neighborhoods were targeted, and thousands of women of childbearing age were sterilized through coercion or without their knowledge or their consent. And I vow that just as Abuela Mera, in her Grito de Lares, my voice will be heard without any fear and with determination. Mama Ju's kitchen was always open. This was often experienced by anyone walking through the streets who could sense from afar the tropical aromas of the tasty food that she was cooking, and it was sneaking through her windows. And mattresses lined her walls for the ones who were arriving, or the ones that were being evicted. In her presence, no one went hungry or homeless. But despite the unity that existed in our community, marginalization meant oppression and loneliness, particularly in the pursuit of justice for us. In the 1990s, I entered the road of Ifa and La Ocha, Santeria. And in 1995, I was ordained into the priesthood. And I smiled at the thought of being called this name. It was a long year riding the train I call El Jaboraje, a cleansing period when one sheds what no longer serves, when one is reborn in the humblest of ways. The head is shaved, you all dress in white, you eat meals eating on floor mats, you're forbid to look into mirrors, and you show the respect to other santeros by doing prostrations. The ceremonies were endless. And I discovered the power and the beauty that holds the road to the Orisha land, and the depths of racism and prejudice against the religion as well. In 2016, following the urge of my innate, I returned to Borinquen to hold ceremony. Something major was about to happen, and I felt it. I traveled the island to go before La Sagrada Ceiba, our sacred baobab tree of the Caribbean. The ceibas were planted long ago, marking the locations of the 5 directions, to knock at the door of the planes of existence, to plead to ancestors, to summon each element, and to retrieve the soul of our land to protect its future. The following year, I was there again. That's when Hurricane Maria struck. Overpowering all. And leaving Borinquen, my beautiful, loving Borinquen, in deep tragic loss. 40 years ago, I summoned Atave during a period of great and deep loneliness. Atave, Mother Earth, Goddess of the waters, and giver of life to the Taino indigenous nation of Borinquen. But it was in the aftermath of the hurricane, during a spiritual ceremony guided by an elder abuela, that I once laid again with my chest to the ground. Surrendering all my senses to claim this immense power with an almighty heart. The abuela guided me through the dark night, under the wide Milky Way, splattered with blinking stars, taking me to my inception. The sounds of Koki welcome me into the kingdom of nature, the oneness of all. And that's when I saw this silhouette of fire. This silhouette of fire from the bowels of earth. Yo soy tu madre. Soy tu madre Atabey. And I felt the greatest and highest of comforts like none before. True love, pure, raw, and with yearning. Yo soy tu madre. The ocean, the earth, the wind, and the space. Don't be afraid. Just feel my loving embrace. For one day, you'll return to me. Today, as an elder, my body and mind are searching for the balance to become a temple of goodness. And being a vegan, honoring all God's creatures means that my tradition and rituals adapted to fit a belief and my way of life. And as Mama Jew, I strive to release any shame impinged upon me by a society based on patriarchy and imperialist values foreign to my soul. This year, I visited the mountains of the great Himalayas, taking the banner from Lares, la bandera de Lares, a symbol of resistance and the patriot's shroud, to honor my lineage, bequesting my blessings for all my relations that walk through the land, constructing an altar for personal freedom in the highest good, compassion, and love. And that is my palante. I am the milk of the breast that nurtures creation, the poisonous milk of the yucca that feeds the semilla, the stones that hold light, the wisdom of my antepasados, las ibas talladas, los otanes de oricha, el cuarzo lechado de las diosas taínas, el semíbaro. I am the elixir for life, the senses within, a fragrant mix of flowers and spices blended with the colors and the smell of earth, the sun and the sea. Soy la tierra del mar y el sol. I am the golden honey and rum, the food of the gods, infused with the sounds of the rhythms of the drums, beating in the heart of rivers of blood moving forward. Da Cataino y Maferefum.
music, flow, rhythm, waves, drum, music.
Nature, air, flying, heat, green. Nature, air, flying, heat, green.
Mother, wind, warm, comfort, scent. Mother, wind, warm, comfort, scent.
Breath, movement, feeling, life, soul. Breath, movement, feeling, life, soul.
Bliss, dislocation, waves, choice, taste. Bliss, dislocation, waves, choice, taste.
Mother, wind, warm, comfort, scent.
Nature, air, flying,